I'm very sorry, Chanel. I'm afraid you've had a miscarriage.
This is all your fault.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives for June 26, 2024. And folks, today is going to be one of those tearjerker episodes. Honestly, I shed a tear or two. It was just too much to unload, especially in the end. So you want to stay tuned for that part, all right? So we see where the first scene is Marlena and Brady, right? And they're just talking about what's happened last night with Tate and, everything that the fallout that happened after that, right? So Brady's like, he's still upset about what happened. And he also talked about Teresa taking Holly home and, the aftermath of that. And he said that finally him and Teresa are on the same page regarding Tate and Holly. So Marlena is like, and he said he knows that, right? So what's your thoughts? So she's saying like, you sure it's just about Tate and not about your feelings for his mom? So he's like, he said they had a moment, but Teresa made up her mind that she wants to be with Alex, right? So he just needs to move forward with his life. Of course, Marlena is skeptical about that, but Brady then says that he doesn't really want to talk about it no more. He gets defensive because he still has some unresolved feelings for Teresa. And Teresa does too, but again, Teresa's eyes on the money, right? She's on what is quote unquote safe for her at this moment. So we're moving on to the next scene, right? So we see Teresa and Bonnie, right? And Teresa is filling her in on what happened with the prom. And she said, she busted Tate and Holly, and it was just upsetting because she don't know why Tate is still involved with Holly. So Bonnie's like, so last night was a real bust, right? So that is when Alex walks in, right? And he said it totally wasn't a whole bust. And then that is where they show off that they're engaged, right? So Bonnie is, of course, taken aback by the whole engagement thing, right? And of course, as we all are, because Alex just really is that gullible and stupid. And I really can't wait for the storyline to be over with. It's just really nauseating to watch the two of them. And for them to reach this point, I just knew this was going to happen, honestly. But Bonnie asked when did it happen, and they said last night. And she said, you spent Victor's money on it, huh? So that is when Teresa gets a text message from her dad, and she said she's gonna go outside to talk to him regarding her proposal, right? And that leaves Alex and Bonnie to talk about it, right? So we see Sarah and Xander, right? And they are happily preparing for their upcoming nuptials, right? So they're preparing some wedding invitations and they're excited about it. And Xander saying at least this one will go off without a hitch, unlike Constantine and Maggie's own, right? So they're just happy that he's out of their lives, and they're happy for Maggie. Maggie needs to see, some happiness coming forward, right? So then they started talking more about Xander's past, Xander's relationship with Victor and his mom, right? So of course he still has some unresolved questions about Victor, right? Why didn't Victor leave him anything in the will? Because he had a conversation with Maggie couple weeks prior, right, talking about how Victor saw a lot of him inside Xander, and Xander is wondering how, because the way how Victor treated him, he really can't really see it, right? So he's conflicted about his feelings with Victor, right? And Sarah's there to assure him that he's a better man now, and Victor had his reasons. Then the conversation moved towards about his mom, and she asked him if there's any other way to contact her. So he did reach out to his sister, and his sister said that his mom was reaching out to her for some money. So eventually, after that conversation, he did end up getting an address for her. So Sarah is excited because she really wants to just connect them all and let her meet her grandchild. So let's see how this go. I have a theory that Angelica is Xander's real mom. Honestly, I really think so, cause that it just some things really don't add up, right? But yeah, so Sarah's off to finish up her wedding invitations over Bonnie's, and then Xander is there to look after their baby. In the next scene, we are recapping from yesterday's episode. If you have not seen that, check the link in my description for the previous episode to watch what happened. So we see Leo and Dr. Green, right? Dr. Green sees Leo emotional. He's reflecting on his visit with his mom. So he's telling him briefly how that happened. So you recognize that it's the shirtless guy that he saw last week, asking him for water. So, he was very surprised to know that he's an actual doctor. So Dr. Green's like, what gave it away? The stethoscope? So they had a moment, and he also said, I remember asking you if you were gay. And then Dr. Green said, did you? So there was a curiosity there to see if Dr. Green was actually gay or bisexual. So the next scene we are recapping from yesterday's episode as well is Paulina, Chanel, and Johnny, right? So Chanel is having some severe cramps, and both Paulina and Johnny are concerned about it, right? So she just sits down, and then Johnny said, you want me to take it to the hospital? And she said, no, it's not that bad, right? So then Paulina says, do you have any saltine crackers left? And then Johnny went over to the bag to get it. That is when Chanel starts going into deeper pain, and Johnny said, you know what? I will take it to the hospital. So that is where Johnny, Paulina, and Chanel left and went to the hospital, right? So we continue back with Bonnie and Alex, right? So Bonnie is just saying, did you talk to your father about this proposal? And then Alex is assuming it's about Victor, right? So he said, yes, he had a brief conversation with him. And Bonnie said, no, Justin, right? How does Justin feel about this? So he said he didn't have the time to tell him, right? So he told Bonnie that the last conversation they have wasn't really a good one. And Justin disapproves of Teresa because of Teresa's previous history with Brady and how she still feels about Brady. So Bonnie puts in her 2 cents and say, are you really sure you're making the right decision, right? We're concerned about you. So Alex is saying that I'm a big boy, I can take care of myself. I don't need your concern, respectfully. So then Bonnie is also saying that you're sure about Teresa because you can do a lot better. So that is when Teresa comes in, because she overhears Bonnie talking about her behind her back. So, Bonnie is saying, oh, don't you look nice today? And Teresa said, oh, really? Because I heard you guys talking about me behind my back. So, of course, she comes back, and Bonnie is just expressing her concern that she spoke with Justin, and Justin told her how he feels about you. So that's why she's relaying that to Alex, right? So then it goes to the topic of Xander's upcoming wedding to Sarah, right? So she's saying that, she's excited about all the upcoming weddings, and they've been trying to reconnect with Xander's mom. So of course, it seems like Teresa knows Xander's real biological mother, because yes, we know his father is Victor, but is his real mom like Angelica? I really want to know. Like this storyline is going to be a bombshell, honestly. It's going to tear up a lot of families, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the chaos as usual. So we leave them on that scene and go on to the next one. So Johnny, Chanel, and Paulina arrive at the hospital. That is when Leo and Dr. Green was still having their conversation. So of course that abruptly ended, and Chanel is in obviously a lot of pain. So Dr. Green rushes her to the room to get examined, right? So they're all in panic as to what could have caused those cramps, right? So, I mean, personally watching, I'm thinking the worst of things, like, is this going to be a possible miscarriage? So we're definitely going to find out today in today's episode, right? So Paulina, Johnny, and Chanel are in the one of the hospital rooms. So Paulina is just anxious as to what could have caused. Johnny is on edge. Chanel is waiting. Just everybody is just in panic mode at this point. And then Dr. Green comes in and said, Paulina, you have to leave. And she said, really? No, I have to be there for my daughter. So Johnny said, but I am here. And I agree with Johnny, because Johnny is her husband. Like, you just got to hold second place, ma'am. So she eventually went out, because Chanel said, you know what, just go. And Chanel told Johnny that she didn't want her mother to be worried and think that it's her fault that this is happening, right? So Dr. Green comes in to examine Chanel and see what could be the possible cause, right? So Johnny gives Chanel this stuffed bear that Felicity gave her the other day, and she's holding on to it, and they're just really, really anxious as to know what Dr. Green is gonna find on those tests, right? So we are all on edge watching the episode and seeing what can unfold, right? So in the next scene, we see Marlena coming in for work, and Leo is still there, and Leo says to her that, do you have some time, Dr. Evans? And she said, she has patience now, but she has a little time to hear more, right? Because he has a lot to say. To remember the last episode, he wanted to see her because of his visit with his mom, and he had so much thoughts from that, right? So he just wanted to, let it out, talk to Dr. Marlena, and see, what could come out of it, right? So she agreed to see him in her office. So that's where this scene ended. So of course we continue back with Alex, Teresa, and Bonnie, right? So Bonnie is still continuously talking about Xander and Xander's mom possibly being invited, right? So Teresa is just really fearful of what may come of that, and Alex and Bonnie ask her, why does she care, right? And I mean, yeah, why do you care? So obviously Teresa has more secrets that we need to find out, right? This storyline does have a lot of twists and turns, but hey, we're here for it, right? So Bonnie said it was a bust because they did not get through to her with the phone number that Xander gave Sarah, right? So Teresa is saying, oh, it's probably for the best because of, too much people coming into the mansion that are unwelcome, like Constantine. She's just happy that her butt is saved yet once again, right? So we'll leave with that scene, and Teresa is left alone, just pondering, and Alex is off to work, and Bonnie walks out as well, right? So we see where Leo is in the office with Dr. Evans, right? And he's talking about everything that transpired with the visit to his mom in prison. And he said, he was expecting it to be a cathartic one, right? A therapeutic one, but it didn't go that way, right? So he recapped to Marlena everything that his mom said to him about being unlovable, unworthy, just useless, worthless, all the negative words, right? So basically, if you guys have experience with toxic parents, or know of toxic parents, you would understand what Leo is going through, right? So he was feeling really down in himself, and Marlena continuously tries to remind him that he's a worthy human being and that they will work through this in therapy, right? So that Leo can have more self-respect and really love himself and know that he is worthy of being loved. And he then tells her about a possible encounter with Dr. Green, and she doesn't really know him, but Leo said they had a moment earlier, and he's wondering if Dr. Green may be interested in him. So that is where we left off on this scene. So folks, this is the scene where I said it's the most heartbreaking moment of the episode. I mean, Johnny and Chanel, they're fearful but optimistic, and Dr. Green still running tests, but then he makes a revelation to them, and he said, I'm sorry. And they said, what happened? But you suffered a miscarriage. So of course they're shocked, and Johnny is questioning Dr. Green and saying, how this happened? I thought you said everything was okay, right? So he said, no, I mean, after his findings, she did suffer miscarriage. So of course they're emotional, they're breaking down, and we are breaking down with them because obviously we wanted a Johnny and Chanel baby. I really like this couple. I mean, they did deserve this baby and to have a family. And oh my gosh, this is just tough to see, to watch. Honestly, it was the worst part of the episode. I honestly teared up about it because I really am fond of this couple. So it was really hard to watch, folks. Really hard to watch. So I know Chanel is gonna blame Paulina, and I mean, I blame her for the most part because she did a reckless move and put her and her unborn grandchild at risk, right? So Brady is at the office, right? And he's reminiscing about his time with Teresa, and he's thinking about his feelings for her, and that is when Alex comes in, right? So Alex walks in and he said he's sorry about what happened with Tate and Holly, and then he said he knows and he's sorry about he's surprised that Teresa did not call him regarding what happened at Nicole and EJ's when she brought home Holly, right? So then Alex said, I'm to blame. And Brady said, why? So Alex just blurts out that, we got engaged last night. Teresa and I are engaged. So Brady is like stunned at this news. So I guess we'll see what happens to that in a later episode, right? So then we see Teresa, Bonnie, and Sarah, right? So Sarah's over to finish wrapping up the invitations with Bonnie, and Sarah also shares with Bonnie that she has a new dress for Xander's mom. So that is where Teresa nearly spilled out her tea, right? She nearly spilled out the rest of her tea because she's like, oh no, something gonna go down, and I hope it really goes through. Honestly, I'm sick and tired of Teresa and her antics. So we see Xander by himself with his daughter, and he's saying to her that, I know you must be excited to meet my mom, your grandma, right? But I don't think I'm really that excited about it, right? So Xander is on the fence regarding his mom's possible attendance at his upcoming nuptials, right? So we see Dr. Green on the phone talking to someone about him having to deliver the news to Johnny and Chanel. We don't know who that person on the phone is, but then we see Leo come through, right? So he wanted to return the handkerchief to Dr. Green, and Dr. Green said it's okay, it's fine. So then Leo and his nose himself asked, who was that on the phone? I don't know what gives Leo the right to ask the man who he was talking to, right? So he said, no, it's fine. That was his girlfriend. So then Leo said, oh, girlfriend. So that shattered Leo's hopes with any chance with the good old doctor, right? So we see the end of the last scene here with Johnny and Chanel just really emotional about what's happening, right? So Paulina comes in and Paulina is like, oh, what happened? So Johnny angrily with tears in his eyes saying that we lost the baby. So like Paulina is shocked and she is just like, oh no, how that happened? So Chanel just looked at her, and said, it's all your fault. That's why it happened. So Paulina is just like gonna kill herself with guilt now. I mean, it's a tough situation and I feel bad for all of them, including Paulina, honestly. I mean, it was a tough ending to today's episode, folks. But let's see what happens in tomorrow's episode of Days of Our Lives. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel for more episode recaps. See you tomorrow for an all-new episode recap of Days of Our Lives, alright?